What is this piece of equipment? Well, I'm sure you've seen it in my previous videos, and for those who haven't, please do and please go through. Welcome back, it's me Sean the Thedeepseaman, and today we're going to see how we top up propylene into this ethane or ethylene. In our case, since we are an ethane carrier, we also call it as the cargo vaporizer. Remember, there's propylene inside, so see my previous videos. Propylene, refrigerant R1270. Let's go. The sketch out here is pretty much self-explanatory. So let's familiarize ourselves with the components. So component number 1 is your refrigerant bottles. These usually come in about 50 kg. The quantity of gas in each bottle is about 50 kilos. Component number 2 is your weighing scale. Component number 3 is this filling hose, which is very important. It needs to have the adapter at the right end, adapter with the right threads on the propylene side, and the flange on the side connected to the entrance of the CMR. Remember, this is propylene. This is an explosive gas. So the threads connecting to the bottle will be left-handed. I'm sure a lot of you can relate when you talk about acetylene in your oxygen acetylene torches. Left-hand threads, remember that. Component number 4, that is inside your CMR. In this case, you can see a double-acting reciprocating pump driven by nitrogen. It's something like a pneumatic pump, but instead of air, we use pressurized nitrogen. And why would we use nitrogen? Nitrogen is inert, so in case there are leaks, it will not create an explosive atmosphere inside the pump. That's point number 1. And point number 2, if there is moisture, that moisture will freeze inside because propylene is well below zero. So nitrogen enters through the control block into the cylinders on either sides and vents out just through the silencer, whereas propylene enters and is pushed out through the discharge valve. Component number 5 is the flexible hose from your nitrogen manifold inside the CMR to the pump, to the control block of this nitrogen pump. And your 6th component is your flexible hose from the CMR, from the outside of the CMR connected to your ethane vaporizer. And finally, your last component, the vaporizer itself. Ethane vaporizer, ethylene vaporizer. So let's see the flow that we expect from the liquid in the propylene cylinders right up to the vaporizer. So the liquid from the bottle, from each of these bottles, will travel through the hose. After the valve V1 is opened, it will go into the connections, the fixed piping in your CMR to your nitrogen pump, to your nitrogen driven propylene pump, and then into the flexible hose, and finally into the vaporizer. So this is just the flow circuit. And now let's see the procedure. Let's see the safe procedure. Let's see the right procedure. So in the CMR, we make sure that the nitrogen pump is lined up perfectly with all the valves in the correct position. That is from the intake manifold to the pump, and from the pump to the discharge manifold. Because these lines, these pumps, this particular pump is also used even to recover the propylene from the vaporizer, and also to recover and top up the propylene in the refrigerant compressors. So let's connect the nitrogen intake manifold with this nitrogen flexible hose into the nitrogen regulator. So this is the nitrogen flange that you see. This is the flange to blow through the system with nitrogen. That's before and after you complete your propylene top up. So the first step that we need to do is purge out all the pipelines with nitrogen so that there's no air, there's no moisture in the system. So you purge your nitrogen hose, then you connect your nitrogen to the pump manifold, the connection that's available there, and you purge out at V1 and V2 as well as the end of the hoses. And now it's time for propylene. We need to purge the hoses, purge the system using the propylene to displace all the nitrogen that's there. You may have to, push out a little to the atmosphere, but just be careful to do that down to a minimum. And remember, this is not a 1-person or a 2-person job. We need minimum 3 to 4 people for this. 1 at the vaporizer, 1 at the nitrogen pump, and 1 at the propylene bottles. And as we're ready to start, the first valve that we'll open is at the propylene bottle, followed by the bulkhead valve, then the inlet valve of the pump, the discharge valve of the pump, and the other bulkhead valve, that's the outlet to the vaporizer, and then the inlet valve of the vaporizer. As we open the nitrogen manifold valve, we have to control the speed of the pump using the nitrogen regulator provided at the inlet of the control block. And as the pump starts picking up its reciprocating motion, you will hear a strong squeak noise This means it has started pumping in the propylene. And it's very important that all the team members involved in this operation are in close communication and the person is closely monitoring the level of the propylene, the level of increase per bottle consumed. Another clear indicator that the liquid is exhausted in the bottles, besides the weight coming down, is the squeaking sound of the reciprocating pump will almost die out even though the nitrogen is still open. Once you're almost done, please shut all the valves, purge out the line with nitrogen, clear off the propylene from the line and carefully disconnect. Remember, there could be pressure in the line, so be very careful and carefully disconnect the hoses, secure them, put them back, put all the blanks back in place and keep it ready for the next time. That's it for now. We've got your level in the vaporizer and everything done safely. So before we close out this video, let's look at a few other important components. So this is the receiver tank, the storage tank, the recovery tank. This is to recover the propylene from the vaporizer if you're doing any maintenance on the system, and also to recover the propylene from the screw compressors, from your refrigerant compressors that are your secondary refrigerant for your cargo system. So remember, the recovery tank is for storage of propylene and also to recover all the propylene during your maintenance and long scheduled dry docks. So take care, bye-bye and stay safe.